Chronicles of Spectro.
No intro? Okay. This is the definition of how normies view anime. Cross-Ange is by far the most batshit insane series I have ever experienced. This series has everything. Fan service, monsters, giant robots, magic, racism, all sprinkled into a story that for whatever reason got me engaged, all for the wrong reasons. It's such a wild anime that I can't even explain it while having to go through all the nitty gritty. So I'm going to be breaking down the entire series, episode by episode, just to explain how batshit insane this anime really is. What the fuck? What's wrong with the video? I'll fix it later. Episode 1, we're introduced to our MC, a strong female lead by the name of Princess Angelise, who lives like royalty, born with a silver spoon in her mouth and abides the laws created by her family. In this universe, everyone has magic powers called mana, and because of that, they're created equal. Those who are not born with mana are labeled as Norma and are outcasted by their people. The first episode does a really good job explaining the world of Cross-Ange without having to go heavy on its lore. Everything you need to know is right in front of you. I honestly hate when anime, especially isekai, have a habit of expositizing their world building and how their hierarchies work and all, because it's just very boring and eventually that shit doesn't even become a major factor in the story. By the end of the episode, we find out that our main protagonist is in fact a Norma and is betrayed by her brother who takes over the empire, leading to an unfortunate death of their mother. Where the episode irked me the most is how it actually ended. I shit you not. It ends with a physical, but in a way where the show really sexualizes it. Tits and ass galore, and you have yourselves an anime that goes from 0 to 100 real quick. This is where the anime has its major flaws. The fan service. It is so overused that it feels like it's trying to make its viewers have a nosebleed every 3 minutes. Like, there are scenes later on in the show where I began to ask myself, was that even necessary to add? Look, I'm all for fan service, but when done well, it can be used to its core. Cross-Ange really hams it up with that fan service, and that is something that I feel like could scare away a ton of people. This is the type of anime where you really have to watch it by yourself. Episode 2 begins with Angelise, now going by Ange, recruited to a division of Norma soldiers who operate mechas that are capable of fighting dragons. The Norma soldiers she meets don't treat her well, but they do have an excuse to a degree since, after all, she's the princess of the same royal family who established the rules against the Norma people, so we do get to see the ramifications of her actions. Where I draw the line is the character of Zola, who is the leading captain of the team. She comes off as very perverse and a bit too rapey, and in the same episode she takes advantage of Ange, and it comes across so out of left field because by the time they go on their first mission together, Zola ends up dying by the next episode and they mourn her death. What? As if she was a great leader? Yeah, I know you were sexually harassed by your coworker, but she was hardworking, had tons of honor in her. What a fucking joke! But when death does happen in this show, it really does showcase the type of threat that we're truly facing and the stakes that come with it. Two girls who are in this one episode who really appreciate Ange end up dying. This inspires Ange to step up, and by episode 3, she does just that and proves her worth. I really like the fact that prior to her recruitment, she already had experience in athletics, which made her efficient in her abilities to fly the mecha. I think that was a really nice touch for the character. Speaking of that, I find it really funny yet bizarre how Ange's sport uniform has more protective gear and armor compared to her actual battle uniform. I mean, just look at it, it's very revealing. Like, the designers knew what they were doing, and it makes me laugh for all the wrong reasons. In episode 4, Ange adjusts her new life and role within her squad. She wants to be left alone and holds a chip on her shoulder, even if others who appreciate her try to mold into her life. We get a back and forth rivalry between Ange and the character Hilda, which results in Ange getting fucked over by Hilda, causing her to be stranded on an island with a generic light novel protagonist by the name of Tusk. One bizarre nitpick I have about this episode in particular is that there's a scene in which Ange is wearing a torn up clothing that once belonged to Zola. She gets called out for wearing such revealing clothes, but I'm over here behind the screen yelling at them, then why the fuck do you wear skimpy clothing during battle? Anyways, episode 5 sees Ange interacting with Tusk. The two, of course, are establishing their obvious relationship together. Like, we know these two are gonna end up together by the end of this series, yada yada yada. Not to mention, when Tusk is with Ange, they just throw as much fan service as possible. I'll stop myself from bringing this up because I'll be here all day breaking down every fan service in this show, but man, not only does Tusk fall on Ange's crotch once, but he does it twice in the same episode. And then there's a quick scene in which it's implied that he did it again for a third time. In episode 6, we get the arrival of Ange's maid Momo, who struggles to adjust the new Ange, who is more rough on the edges with her now former assistant. I feel like Ange was a bit too hard on Momo, like there was no need to make herself look like a selfish bitch even though you just adjusted to your new lifestyle, but in the end the two end up pairing together as Ange literally buys her maid with all of her savings.
This is human trafficking! Yes!
Episode 7 sees our squad of waifus encountering a rare and first-time variant dragon, which they label as a virgin.
Wait a minute, why am I on here?
This episode doesn't hold a lot of weight aside from the rest of the crew finally accepting Ange as their own, aside from Hilda, who still has a grudge against her. We later find out that Salia, a member of the squad who is very by the books, is an otaku on the side and is super into cosplay, which is very cute. She's one of my favorite characters in the series. By the end of the episode, Ange gets a distress call from her sister, causing her to finally attempt to leave the island. Episode 8 is literally a beach episode. They participate in an event that so happens to be when a certain royal figure by the name of Princess Misty makes her arrival to the event. Ange holds Misty hostage and forces her to go into her ship as an escape vehicle. All the while, Hilda also wants to leave the island, as it's revealed that she was simply an obstacle for Ange, simply because she was trying to adjust her new life at Arsenal. So Ange decides to let her on board in order to find her mother. Oh yeah, this was also a beach episode, by the way. Episode 9 kicks off with our runaways as they both decide to finally come home to their loved ones. Hilda comes back home to her mother, only to find out that she's already moved on, and that her mother had already accepted the change in her new life, and the fact that she has a new daughter. This was a really heartbreaking moment for our character, and I liked how it was executed.
'Cause sometimes I look in her eyes, and that's where I find a glimpse of...
And it's no good for our MC either, as it turns out that the distress call made by Sylvia was nothing more than a trap, as her sister is also against Ange. So Ange and Momoko get caught, and by episode 10, they begin with our hero being tortured and battered as the crowd of people witness their final moments as they're about to get executed via hanging. But not without our hero singing a song out of pure protest. This gets the rest of the onlookers, including the royal family, distraught and... Wait, this is from RRR, and no, I'm not joking, that's actually how it goes in the anime. Anyways, Tusk comes in to rescue Ange and saves both her and Momoko. They return back to the island, but are treated no better than the ones back home. We then get a really good scene between Ange and Hilda as they're both reunited and imprisoned together in the same cell, and I really liked how this scene plays out, as each of them really reconcile with one another and relate to each other's situations. We've grown to appreciate Hilda and Ange's relationship over time, and while they both had their bad blood against each other, we finally get to see them both connect and relate to each other's causes. We're only in episode 10, and I feel like we're getting to the end of things, and to be honest, I'm so far really glad that there is a whole lot more to behold, because I'm really looking forward to see how this all transpires. And then episode 11 begins with Ange's brother being seduced by a woman who I think was their superior bodyguard or something, and then it turns out that she's this succubus lady? Never mind. She's a dragon. Spoilers, but we'll get to that much later. This episode is by far the most batshit insane episodes I've seen from this anime. As dragons begin to make their attack, 3 mechas mysteriously come out of the portals that the dragons come from, but not only that, the leading mecha from that trio is singing the same song sung by Ange and her royal family. Not only that, but it turns out that the song itself is the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe, and then it turns out that the pilot Ange was facing may or not be from another universe, as we then cut to them looking at various alternate realities. So yeah, the multiverse exists. Where the hell are Kang and the TVA? Anyways, then it gets even more batshit insane. We then discover that the dragons were at one point humans. Yes, they've been killing humans this entire time. And not only that, but one of the pilots ends up transforming into a dragon themselves. We get more lore that talks about how things came to be, and honestly, I loved how they handled their world building, as we're now asking more questions at this point. I also liked how they developed Salia as a character. She just wants to prove her worth to her sister Elektra, but no matter the cause, she will always play second fiddle, even when she steps up to her game. We are also introduced to a new character by the name of Lord Embryo, who is essentially revealed to be the god of the universe, and our new main antagonist. God, just by the look of him, I want him to dominate me. Julio decides to attack the Norma HQ, and even more bloodshed ensues. People die left and right, Embryo uses his ability to basically get his way, and Ange finally gets a chance to face against her tyrannical brother, only for him to be killed by Embryo. Also, Embryo knows about the Endless Song as well, and just as things seem to be getting worse, Ange is then saved by Tusk, and the episode ends with the 2 and 3 if we're including Vivian, because she turned into a dragon at one point, all finding themselves in a desolate city. So our heroes end up in another world, although to them they believe that time had already passed, as everything around them had already been consumed by the Earth's vegetation. We get some more alone time between Tusk and Ange, with Tusk being able to open up to Ange about why he continues to fight, and that's all thanks to Ange. To backtrack on my comments saying that their relationship was sort of forced and somewhat contriving, I think they make a really cute couple. But regardless, we stan our bisexual queen. Afterwards, they are then greeted by the presence of these godlike beings, and it's soon revealed that there are some humans still around on this earth, and we are then introduced to the woman from earlier, who reveals herself to be Salamandia, who then tells our main characters that they have indeed traveled from one world to the next, and that Ange's people had left this world over to hers. But conflict still became an issue, and due to propaganda and political uprising, shit became real for them. It is then revealed that Ange's people have taken custody of their most important dragon, Aurora, and wants them to return home. We also find out that Vivian is indeed a denizen of this dragon universe, and she was accidentally left behind during one of the portal openings when she was very little. My only issue is, now all of a sudden she becomes a dragon? Why hasn't she transformed in the past? Hell, I think it would have made it more compelling if Vivian knew she was a dragon and that she tried to hide it from everyone else. Because of it, it really felt like the writers were trying their best to develop Vivian's character, but only ended up until the middle half of the series and just said, yeah, fuck it, we're just gonna write this instead. All in all, I like the twist that the dragons weren't really the bad guys, even though it was foreshadowed during the cutaways. It's at this point where the real conflict of the story is going into high gear, because to be honest, I really felt like major stakes are at play. I feel like anyone can die at this point, no matter how much flavor and spice they add to the table. The real war is coming, and I'm really looking forward to see how all that plays out. Even though Ange and Tusk are already forming a great relationship with the dragons, Ange is very skeptical about Salamandia's plans. This causes the two to compete against one another as they partake in various sport-like activities, and I shit you not, they do everything from tennis, golf, Formula 1 racing, all ending in a game of Twister. What is even going on at this point? The two fortunately get along just fine, but Embryo decides, fuck your fun, I'm going to distort your world for good. Luckily, the two manage to save the day despite casualties occurring in the process, and Ange, for the 100th time, gets obsessed with Tusk landing on her nether regions and bites the ever-living shit out of it. Jesus, so this is what Blueface had to go through every day. Salamandia gives her full support of Ange as they decide to go back to her home dimension. But then they get ambushed by Salia, Chris, and Ursha, who are all under the command of Embryo and have their own evil Paracel Max as they evade capture but are soon discovered by what's left of Arsenal and are planning their next attack on Embryo in order to stop this senseless war. Commander Jill is off her high horse and is literally at the point where she's just batshit insane. Tusk takes notice of this and takes contingency. All the while, Jill confirms that she plans on using the dragons as pawns for their attack. Tusk and Ange refuse this plan altogether and barely make it out alive, but remember, Tusk has plans of his own, and as the two escape, only to have one final confrontation with Jill as Ange knocks some sense into her for the final time. It's satisfying to see her finally step up against someone who's clearly so far gone. I even like the fact that Jill's colleagues who were trying to back her up end up being disgusted by her actions. This is something that I really felt like should have been reflected on the character of Zola, who, need I remind you, was treated like she was a great person, but took advantage of every female in her unit. Ange, Tusk, and Vivian fly off, but are then stopped by the sudden arrival of the three evil parasails. Salia captures Ange, and both her and Momoko are then taken back to their mansion, where Lord Embryo has taken over and the three girls he's using are currently living their best lives. I like the fact that these girls are not only wearing less revealing clothing compared to their other counterparts. It's not only refreshing, but really funny to me since this is the bad guy's wardrobe we're talking about here. We then discover that Aura has been used as a fuel source to manifest more mana into their world. Ange tries to kill Embryo, but there's no luck. Every time he dies, he just reappears, really showcasing how powerful and untouchable he really is. Embryo tries to get into Ange to fall under his spell, but it doesn't work, as Ange is clearly able to fight back. In the next episode, we see Ange get invited one more time to meet with Embryo, only for her to... yeah, she gets taken advantage in this episode.
Again? I'm fucking dead!
This would be the perfect time to drop the series, but we're just nearing the end and I didn't come all this way, so I'ma keep on going. Momoko saves Ange alongside Lizaria, the dragon spy from earlier, and then the two make their escape, with the unexpected arrival of Salamandia and her two cohorts. They duke it out in the next episode with Chris venting towards her two friends about the fact that she's always played second fiddle, which is funny to me because that's literally her whole character. Like, at this point, we're giving a character who's just been in the background for like, I don't know, let's just keep moving forward. Ange and Momoko make a run for it, but then are chased by Embryo, who has the whole city under his control. They try their best to fight Embryo, but he's literally just full-on Kang at this point. One Embryo dies, another just pops right back up. Then the stakes get really high as Momoko sacrifices herself to save Ange, with Tusk joining alongside her and blows himself up to protect Ange. Two of Ange's most prominent and beloved friends are now gone, and I honestly thought, holy shit, they just killed off her friends just like that. Like, not only her friends, but her love interest too? That takes balls.
Psych!
In the next episode, it's revealed they're okay. Wait, what? Okay, I get it. I can see how Momoko survived her death. She had a frying pan that was able to block the bullet that Embryo shot at her, and she could use her mana to invade any death-defying situation. But Tusk? Tusk? He blew up and somewhat has no scratches on him. Yeah, I'm calling bullshit here, and this is a universe where talking dragons exist. This man has shown scars, bruises, and injuries when he is hit by Ange, but when he's shot multiple times by Embryo and explodes in a bomb strapped to his chest, it's just a flesh wound. I honestly feel like Momoko should have stayed dead, to be honest. Hell, both of these two should have stayed dead. The stakes are now lower at this point, all because of our lovely and genius villain Embryo. Okay, think about it real quick. Just think about it real quick. What the fuck has this man been doing aside from attempting to merge his universe to another? Everyone he's killed is either from the hands of his subordinates or people who deserve to die, like Giulio, for example. He keeps his captives around, attempting to either seduce or control them, but every fucking time, his master plan just goes straight out the window. He tries to convince Salia that she's deserving and worth something. Salia seems to work, but why keep people like Chris and Ursha on your side? Ursha's the only one I felt like made no sense. It felt like she was just an excuse to write in a character arc for her. She even becomes a principal for children under Embryo's care. They end up dying in the crossfire of their battle, and Embryo's like, yeah, I'm not gonna do anything about it, even though I'm trying to get you on my side.
Man, fuck them kids, bro.
You're by far my least favorite villain in all of anime. I don't care if you're my zaddy, you can take your bags and drift out to Horror Island where you belong. We then get a 3-episode narrative of our heroes taking the fight to the heart of Lord Embryo's turf, and it is wild. Nothing feels like it was rushed or padded out for too long. It went straight to the point with its action. Every character had their moments, issues were resolved, and by far my personal favorite scene is when Tusk literally flexes on Lord Embryo by stating that he has already went to second base with Ange and that Embryo will never get a chance ever in his life. It's fucking hilarious, and I honestly just loved every second of it. Jill, aka Electra, dies by the hands of Embryo, but not until we find out that Embryo can only die if he is stuck between the spaces of all realities. So our heroes manage to do just that. So after Ange is taken over to that world, our heroes defeat Embryo before he merges his new world together.
Bruh, look at this dude.
The anime ends with our heroes now able to live in a universe where both Norma, humans, and dragons can coincide with each other. And that was Cross Ange, a bizarre yet entertaining anime. It has every trope you can think of, but doesn't squander it like most generic anime titles. I like how they handled the concept of prejudice, race, relations, same-sex relationships, war, and it really didn't feel like it was being shoved down our throats. They knew all that shit was either wrong or right, and they wanted to fight what they believed in. My major complaints are when the fan service is a bit too much. Like, I can do without that, to be honest. I would have loved to see a more in-depth backstory with Tusk, since despite seeing it briefly through short flashbacks and exposition, I would have loved to see scenes in which we saw him in his past life as a soldier before he met Ange. This would have really made me fall in love with the relationship between him and Ange more, cause to be honest, I would rather have Ange be with Hilda or any other girl in that matter. The OP themes didn't hit as much for me, but when the music hits, it hits. The in-universe music, like the Endless song, really gives the whole anime a unique personality, and I really would have preferred that song to be the OP instead, but that's just my opinion. The animation's alright, it's not offensive or anything, it was a bit janky here and there, but not to the point where it was distracting, especially given the fact that how much 3D animation there was in the anime. I think they blended those elements really well. Ange is a great character. She's independent, strong, and overall well developed, and every supporting character had their moment to shine, even if they really didn't need to. Lord Embryo would have benefited as a great villain if not for the fact that he's just a creepy Discord moderator, but I digress. It's not the best anime around, but it kept me engaged until it was over. I only recommend this anime if you're looking for something that isn't too layered or critically acclaimed. Just something laid back, and if you don't have anything to binge watch at the moment.